Yo, this is Jay from Straight Smoke Gaming, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about Jonathan Brooks. As you guys know, he was a draft pick for the Carolina Panthers. This is his first game back, so I thought, why not do a career sim of him? So, starting off here, he is a 78 overall with a hidden development trait, so it'll be interesting to see what that turns into. No surprise here, we will be taking a look in a second. He is the RB2. I mean, Chuba Hubbard, he's played way too good to not be the RB2 or to lose the RB1 job to Jonathan Brooks, a guy who has been on the IR to start the year. Although the Panthers did take him pretty early, so I do think they will get him involved. But yeah, like you can see there, he is the RB2 to start the year. Who knows how that'll be going forward, but to start this part of the season and probably the next couple weeks, he will be the RB2. Chubb Hubbard, I still do think, will be the RB1. So we went ahead and simmed to the end of the first year. And as you can see, the Panthers weren't really good. Only a 2-15 record. The offense, as you can see in the My Team rankings, not good at all. I mean, red for everything. There are 79s across the board. So this team it's really a work in progress. Let's go ahead and take a look at how Jonathan Brooks did end up doing in his first taste of NFL action, and he was pretty much a non-factor his first year, only totaling 77 rush yards, no touchdowns, doesn't fumble, so that's all right. Let's go ahead and take a look at what he does in the receiving game as well. I'm not too sure if he's much known for receiving, but hey, I mean, Derrick Henry isn't either, but he still can put up some numbers receiving-wise. So as you can see there, 87 receiving yards and no touchdowns, so he does go his entire first year without getting his first career touchdown. I would imagine that's not something that he would want to do in real life. You probably want to get your first career touchdown as soon as possible. Hey, that's how it goes. So on to year two. Let's go ahead and take a look. He's up to a 79 overall now. That's +1 from last year. And we figure out what kind of development trait he does have. And it is a star development trait. That's good. I mean, there is obviously better. You could get superstar X Factor. But just because he's at a star development trait now does not mean it could not improve based on his play. Let's go ahead and take a look at where he is on the depth chart. And going into year two, he is still the RB2. I mean, he's still the clear RB2. The people below him, they're pretty bad in overall. So let's go ahead and sim this season and see how he does as the second year being an RB2. And the Panthers overall, they went 7-10, not bad. The offense, they're still pretty much all on the red. So the offense as a whole did struggle. And the teams overall, they're a 78. The offense is an 80, and the defense is a 78. So still not a very good team. No playoffs for the Carolina Panthers and Jonathan Brooks. Let's go ahead and take a look at what he was able to do in his second year in the NFL. He ends up rushing for 160 yards, gets into the end zone 5 times. He does fumble 1 time, though. But one thing I do want to note is he got into the end zone more than Chuba Hubbard did, so that is a plus. If your RB2 is getting into the end zone more, maybe that'll lead to some more chances, hopefully. I would imagine that's how it works in real life. I don't know in the game, though. Jonathan Brooks, 49 receiving yards and another receiving touchdown. So pretty good year for Brooks considering what he did year one. I mean, you outscore the RB1 in your offense. You put up a lot better numbers than what you did last year. Overall, not that bad of a year. Next up, we're in year 3, and this is where we see the real improvement for Jonathan Brooks. He finally cracks 81, finally over that 80 benchmark, and he improves 2 overalls from last year. He still has the star development trait, so that is good. That should help his overall keep going up. The only thing that is holding him back right now is he's still the RB2 on the depth chart. So one thing you do have to remember is the more he's the RB2, that's more years of experience. That's less prime for Brooks. So it'll be interesting to see how the Carolina Panthers handle this in real life. But here in year 3, they end up going 8-9. So we are seeing steady improvement so far in the career simulation. When it comes to the overalls, not really, but when it comes to like the team as a whole, we are seeing a record improvement. Let's take a look at the stats. Here in year 3, he ends up rushing for 127 yards, no touchdowns, or 3 touchdowns, no fumbles. So that's good. You don't want that. One thing that I do want to point out is that other dude, he had more rush attempts. Jonathan Brooks got hurt in year 3. He only played 8 games. So that is something to keep in mind. And with those numbers, honestly, through 8 games, it's not really bad. When you get 3 scores in 8 games as an RB2, I say that's pretty good, especially with how good Chuba Hubbard is. I don't know how much he will be on the field. So with Jonathan Brooks, he has 50 receiving yards and no touchdowns in year 3. The injury sucks. I do want to emphasize that these are why the drop in numbers and the lesser production, because I mean, honestly, only playing 8 games and putting up similar numbers to what you put up in year 2, I think that's good. So not a bad year for Brooks, in my opinion. Year 4, we see him improve again up to an 82. Kind of interesting to think about considering he did only play 8 games. So that being said, he does go up 1 overall. He still has a star development rate, so that should keep helping him move up. It'll be interesting to see here because this is the 4th year, so this should be the last part of his contract. It'll be interesting to see if the Carolina Panthers bring him back and keep him as an RB2, or if they let him walk and kind of solidify Hubbard as their guy. Let's go ahead and take a look at where he is on the depth chart, and he is still the RB2. Chuba Hubbard's now up to an 87, so now there's a decent overall gap. Hubbard is getting close to that 90 overall, so that worries me when it comes to Jonathan Brooks' production with him on the team. And the team, they don't do good. A 4-13 record. The overall wise, though, they are 81s across the board, so that is a plus. If you take a look at the team rankings, the offense in general, it just sucked. It was not good this year. So that sucks. I mean, they were kind of on a pretty good pace of improvement. With that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at the stats for Jonathan Brooks here in year 4. He ends up rushing for 159, 3 touchdowns, and no fumbles. So good he didn't fumble. I do think that he just needs to get more of a chance in this offense, and we will see him thrive. Jonathan Brooks has 40 receiving yards, no touchdowns in year 4. I don't know. I think Brooks could be a good piece in this offense. I just think he really needs a chance. It'll be interesting to see if the Carolina Panthers hold on to him or they let him walk and he gets a chance with a new team that's actually going to invest in him. In year 5, as you can see, he's still in a Panthers uniform. They end up re-signing him, so they must have a plan with him. He does go up to an 83 overall, so that's +1 from last year. Still has that star development trait. And, as you can see, they signed a 2-year deal. Not worth a lot of money. He's not even worth as much as they signed him based on the numbers that he's put up. He's at this point in his career, he's never hit 2K rush yards. Not 2K, 200 rush yards. The most touchdowns he has is 5 in a season. So with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at the depth chart. And Jonathan Brooks looks like he should finally get a shot here in year 5. Chuba Hubbard, I don't know if it's because of age, experience, or what, but he did have a sudden decline. So now both of these running backs are at an 83. It'll be interesting to see what kind of a split they have because they list him as the RB1, but when you're looking at the overall, there's really nothing that separates them. So in year 5, they end up going 2-15, but this is the best that we see the offense do. Specifically the rush game, they rank 19th in yards per game in the entire NFL. So that is improvement considering every year we see them in the red. And we take a look at the offense and the defense in total overall, it's an 83 across the board. So the Panthers, they are trending in the right direction. The wins just did not show up this year. So with that being said, I am interested to see how Brooks does in his first, RB1 season, if you want to call that. And he ends up rushing for 815 yards. He gets 10 touchdowns in his first season as the true number 1. And he does not fumble the ball, so that's good. That should lead to him getting more attempts, I would assume. And then he has 236 receptions, yards, and 4 receiving touchdowns. One thing I did want to note, though, is if you go over and look at the downs played, he only had about 276 more downs played than Hubbard. So this was pretty much like a rough 60-40 split. So even though Brooks was the RB1, Chuba Hubbard was still very involved here in year 5 in this offense. But now here in year 6, we see him jump 2 overalls to an 85. Still has that star development trait. So let's go ahead and take a look at that depth chart, see if they're finally full-on investing in him. And they are. Chuba Hubbard is not on this roster anymore. This is the Jonathan Brooks show. This is the RB1 for the Carolina Panthers. Let's see how they do here in year 6. They end up going 3-14. Overall, back into red for all the team rankings, so that does suck. We see the offense go up one more overall, so that is a plus. Obviously, with the bad record, they have not seen playoffs yet. Let's go ahead and take a look at how Brooks does, though, in his first season without Hubbard there. And he ends up rushing for 842 yards. He has 5 rushing touchdowns. He does fumble twice, so that hurts him. You don't want to fumble. He's never fumbled more than once, I believe, in his career up to this point, so that does suck. Receiving-wise, he adds another 385 in receiving yards and 4 touchdowns. Not a bad year, kind of similar to last year. I would have liked to see him have a little bit more of an improvement, considering the guy that had 400 downs played isn't there anymore. So now you're getting an increase in more plays. You would have liked to see him do a little bit more, but definitely not bad by any means. In year 7, we see him go up to an 87 overall. So that is a +2 from last year. He still has a star development trait. So Jonathan Brooks, from a Madden standpoint, is trending in the right direction. As you can see, he is still the RB1. There's really no one to compete with him, as the next guy is barely over a 75. So this is Jonathan Brooks' team. He is, from a Madden standpoint overall and all that, doing really well. He's just not really putting together the numbers. Record-wise, they went 7-10 this year, back to 83s across the board. The team, they're still struggling in the My Team rankings compared to other teams in the NFL. Let's take a look at how he plays, though. He rushes for 887, 12 touchdowns, which is a career high, and he does fumble one time. That's all right. He hits the career high in touchdowns. That is big. Here in year 7, if you're hitting your career high, a lot of people write you off as a bust, so it's good to see him doing that. And then he adds another 290 in receiving yards, no touchdowns for year 7, receiving-wise at least. And this is probably like one of the better years we see for him. Sadly, he's not hit 1K yet, but the 12 touchdowns is big. That is, like I've been saying, a career high. That's big for him. I believe he was top 5 in rushing touchdowns this year in the league. So, I mean, that's, like I said, big. And then year 8, we have him at an 88 overall. This is the closest he's been to a 90 overall. Only 2 overalls off, so that's big news. Still has that star factor. Has not been able to upgrade that to a superstar or an X factor. I still believe he will be the RB1 on the depth chart at an 88. It's going to be hard to kind of replace that. Let's go ahead and take a look. And yeah, he's still the RB1. The next guy is a 71 overall. So, I mean, he's the clear guy. Hopefully this leads to kind of a bell cow season like he had last year. And we'll see what he can do with that. And as you can see, in their first year, they end up making the playoffs with Jonathan Brooks being kind of your bell cow guy, or maybe the second year if you want to count last year. They make the playoffs, don't really have much success as they play the Eagles in the wild card round, and they end up losing, only putting up 3 points, so that does suck for the Carolina Panthers and that offense. The team ended up going 9-8. They were an 85 overall, the offense being an 87. Pretty good years there, or this year, with the overall and the record. It's nice to see him make playoffs for the first time. Obviously, you don't like that it had to wait until year 8 for him to get any taste in playoffs. Overall, rushing, though, he ends up having 839, 5 touchdowns, no fumbles. He averages 4 yards a carry. Taking a look at the receiving, he has 433 receiving yards and another 2 touchdowns receiving-wise. So, pretty good year for Brooks. I do believe this was his best receiving statistic year, so that's going to be good. And the team had more success as they do end up making the playoffs. Here in year 9 is where we kind of see it come off the rails a little bit, I guess you could say. He goes down to an 82 overall. That's a drop in 6 when it comes to overall from last year. He still does have that star development trait, so who knows? I do see down there he has a back strain going into the week or going into the season, so he is not going to be starting as an RB1, as we will see coming up. Taking a look at the depth chart, he's down there. But when you're taking a look at the overalls of the people on this team, theoretically, once he comes back healthy, he should be back up to that RB1. So we should see some pretty good stats this year from him. And let's see how the team ends up doing. They make the playoffs again. That's awesome. You would think that if they're making playoffs, he played good again. They end up going to the divisional round this year, so that is improvement. The team as a whole ends up going 10-7. We see the offense, defense, and team overall at straight 87s this year. So we are seeing the Carolina Panthers moving in a positive direction. Sadly, I do believe we're at the kind of the end of Jonathan Brooks' career as we do see the overall jump. And when you take a look at these numbers, that kind of reaffirms that. Even when he came back, he was out-touched, only having 375 rush yards and 6 touchdowns. He was outplayed in the downs played by that other running back as well. Taking a look at receiving-wise, he adds another 183 for receiving yards, no touchdowns. But yeah, like I was saying, it does kind of look like they are preparing for life after Jonathan Brooks this year, because that other running back, Jose Jackson, he out-touched him in attempts and on downs played. So with that being said, who knows? Here we are in year 10, as he goes down to a 75 overall. That's a drop in 7 from last year. So this is definitely going to hurt him overall-wise, because we know that he was starting to have other guys creep up on him when it comes to the depth chart. So when you go down that low, as you can see there, he is for sure the running back 2. And there's 2 other young guys that are not too far behind him. So who knows what this year will do for Jonathan Brooks. Maybe we'll see him kind of fall off and kind of be forgotten about. We're going to have to sim to the end of the season and see how that goes. And here we are, as I'm at the end of the season. I couldn't find him anywhere, so I went and took a look. He's a free agent. He couldn't make it through the entire year 10 season, so that sucks. The team did end up going 7-10, in case you're wondering. But Jonathan Brooks, he's not on a team anymore. He goes down to a 73 by the end of the year. So let's go ahead and see what that means. And he's just done for the year. I mean, or not a year. His career is done pretty much. After that, he goes down to a high 60. I think it was a 68. And he's never really heard of again. He does not get another team. These stats I'm putting up on the screen right now are his career totals in rush yards, total touchdowns, receiving yards, and what his highest overall is in Madden. If you want to pause it, take a look at that, feel free to. My question to you guys is, how do you think Jonathan Brooks will do? I think he will be a good running back in the NFL as long as the Panthers get him the ball and they also keep Chuba Hubbard in the mix. But when it comes to this video, that's all we got. So if you enjoyed, please remember to like and sub for more Madden content, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.